ET for the Atari 2600. Lord knows how much I fucking hate this shitty ass fucking goddamn game! Once you start the game, you walk your way upwards and you fall into this pit. Once you fall into the pit, there's no way out of the fucking pit. I'm trying my best to get out of the fucking pit. I can't get out of this fucking goddamn pit. Fuck this game. This is a message to all my subscribers. If you're subscribed to me because you want reviews, I don't care. I don't give a shit. I am not gonna do any more reviews. I tried being entertaining. I tried making people laugh. I failed miserably. If you want reviews, subscribe to somebody else's channel.
Okay, all ready to go? Let's get started! I'll start the game.
Well. Look what we have here. A comfy City Connection stream. Here in 2025, the only guy streaming City Connection, a cozy City Connection stream. We're not talking about current events or what's going on in the world. Don't have time for that. I've got records to set. Darn cats. Yep. I sure do love back when video games included the Twin Towers, you know, back when life was so much simpler back then. On the NES, you know, just listening to Johnny B. Good, essentially, on the soundtrack, and you could get away with it. You could get away with throwing oil barrels at cops, and it was fine. It was a nice, cozy City Connection kind of life. That's why I gathered you here today. I'm actually pretty good at City Connection, but it's hard to look at in two places at once. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Cool Stream. I'm Hikiko. I'll be your host today. I will be your teacher. Let's button it up. I didn't bring a tie for this occasion. But did you think this was really going to be a City Connection stream? We're cracking open a cold one. We got a lecture. Everyone take a seat. Oh, that tastes like lean. We're going to transition into a brand new screen. He prepared. Class is in session. I'll be your teacher, Mr. Hikiko. I actually haven't done this in a while. I still hope I have the chops. But before we get class started, let's read a little bit of chat, and then we will hold questions. So if anyone leaves a super chat, we will hold questions until the class session is over. But I brought a subject for us to talk about today. Okay? A little history lesson, shall we? So let's read some chat. Look at all these people. 32 people. I hope you guys like the new chalkboard here with the hands. Yeah, I threw that together pretty quickly. All right. So we got Alan Smithy. Shout out. Don't care. Buying a Switch 2 ASAP so I can shove it in the closet and jailbreak it once that becomes a thing. I'm sure it'll be a thing rather quickly. We got Mailman, TSK, Detective Glaive, Digi M, shout out, Gara Schneider, chocolate chip cookie. Yeah. A certain amount of blowjobs on the cartridges. What a legend. That's Eric Abramov. He's an OG. He's one of those antediluvian YouTube kings. Respect on his name. Respect on his name. All right. We've got Garden back. A pleasant evening to all Deadly Premonition enjoyers. I hope that's everyone in chat. Otherwise, what are you doing here? Altman, yay, Deadly Premonition. You're way behind in the stream. Everyone catch up. And then Hakiko, Attorney at Law, Hatiko, hey, J Minkter, what's up? We got Fairly Gamer, what's up? We got all the OGs in here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And welcome to all you out there in the restream. We're going to leave this one up there. No more Cool Stream play. I mean, the Cool Stream playlist still exists, but everything is just going to go straight up after the stream. Ladies and gents, the Cool Stream is going to be a regular thing. I've chosen Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Central Time. All right. This is what I'm sipping on tonight. This was recommended to me by a podcast I listened to. This is Ghost Energy Drink, Welch's Grape. I've been trying to go through on a personal note. I've been trying to go through every single one of the Ghost Energy drinks and rank them on the tier maker here. And I'm going to say this is about an A tier drink. An A tier. Cheers. Okay. Kanpai. Like the stream, down with fun. Everyone like the stream. Because I really did put a little something together for today. We are going to play a little bit of games, but first we got to do today's lesson. So, since the last time on Dragon Ball Z, I just got back from Japan. I spent most of March in Japan. Coming home was kind of like a big shell shock because the Nintendo Switch 2 was announced. They had the Direct. The price was hidden. They didn't show the price of things inside the Direct. That was a calculated move, I believe. But there's been a lot of discourse surrounding it and a lot of revisionist history surrounding pricing and what the world was like during the Super Nintendo era and the NES era and even, N64 and stuff, and versus now, and why things should be more expensive now and why it's okay that games should cost $80. Okay, this is a test. This is all a test from current day Nintendo. They are somewhat of the market maker, the king makers when it comes to price, okay? If they can get away with it, then it also allows Sony, it also allows, Microsoft, are they even in the game anymore at this point? But it definitely sets a new precedence whenever Nintendo does it, and also the market has to react in some way, okay? So this is a critical moment because we are in the pre-order phase. The pre-order date for the Nintendo Switch 2 is now indefinite. They don't have one locked down. That was supposedly due to the tariffs, but now the tariffs are out of the equation for at least 90 days. The Nintendo Switch 2 is going to launch before the tariffs take effect. just so you guys know, Nintendo Switch, I've got a whole mess of games right here. But here's one from my previous video, Pikmin 1 and 2. Games are substantially cheaper in Japan, by the way. Remember, this is only 25 bucks over there. That's one of the things we're going to talk about, region pricing and exclusivity. But I'll have you guys know that all Nintendo Switch cartridges are produced in Japan. At first, I thought they were Mexico because I believe Sony presses some of their discs there. But these are Nintendo Switch cartridges, okay? They're carts versus cartridges. We'll get into that as well. So to kick things off, I do see your super chat, Zip, but we will save it for after class. Thank you for the super chat. Okay, let's get into the meat and potatoes, okay? So, context. Nintendo Switch 2 is going to be releasing at $450 for the base system only. No games. Okay? And also the proprietary memory card, that the new format that they're using, it's kind of like Vita territory, but they have a proprietary memory card that you will need if you want more digital games. Or you can pay $500 US and get the Nintendo Switch 2 and the new Mario Kart World game, which is cheaper because it's a digital version, of course, and it's cheaper almost by like $30 because I believe the Mario Kart World is being released on cartridge for $80. Doug Bowser, the president of Nintendo of America, has claimed that there's going to be variable pricing. So not every game is going to be $80, whatever. They're testing the waters here for sure. Historically, when Nintendo has released something at an unfavorable price, the market has reacted. You've seen it with the Nintendo 3DS. Then, speaking as a Nintendo 3DS ambassador, the Nintendo 3DS was released at not a favorable price. The market reacted, and they dropped the price by, I think, like $60 or $70 within months, within about 5 months. And to make up for it, all the ambassadors, we got a bunch of ROMs. So, great. The Nintendo Wii U released at, I believe it was $299 for the base system. Or you could get the deluxe version, which came with Nintendo Land, for $349.99. Market reacted. They dropped the Wii U and Nintendo Land bundle to $299 US less than a year later. Okay? So, what I'm saying is, historically speaking, we have some influence here. We do not have to buy the Nintendo Switch 2 early on and pay into this model. They can lower the price. Also, Nintendo Switch, if we're going to include the first one, released at $299, which was like, what, 7 years ago? Okay? So I know inflation's hit, but it hasn't hit that bad. All right. So let's draw everyone's attention to the whiteboard here. I've got, this is the chalkboard, excuse me. Mr. Hikiko's class, this graphic that I have here on the screen, the Super Nintendo, you've seen it all around. Oh, let's fix that for you, so we can get super chats on screen here. Okay, sorry if I missed that super chat. It'll be up on the screen from here on out. Sorry guys. Okay. So this graphic on the screen here has been making its rounds on Twitter, and this is not a new graphic. It dates back to 1995. This is from a magazine, this one here, and it's very misleading. It's what we call misinformation in the modern world. I'm going to date myself. I was alive in 1995. I was quite a young lad. I do remember the Super Nintendo launch, probably more so than any other system. I was extremely hyped for it. But there's a lot of different things that are being glossed over here, especially when it comes to pricing. And I've seen this graphic. This graphic, I'm sure some of you have already seen it on Twitter or elsewhere. Everyone's making these bad faith arguments. trying to mischaracterize how expensive Super Nintendo games were. And I thought to myself, Earthbound, was it really $89.98? Was it? That's like one of my favorite games of all time. I would have remembered if it was $90 at launch. I don't think my mom would have ever paid that for Earthbound. So just with that little thread, I investigated. I took this image to 10i. 10i is a reverse image lookup on Google. And it turns out this little magazine here is not what it seems. So let's start here. I found the source. The source of this graphic that's been disingenuously presented as a historical artifact describing all the Nintendo pricing of Super Nintendo games is a little misleading. It came from Consumers Distributing. Now, this is going to be really insane. I'm going to try and explain this as best as I can. But what you need to know first is this was a Canadian company. So, fake money. No, it was a Canadian company. So the prices were already baked in to be a little bit more expensive than the US standard for releasing of Super Nintendo games. So first of all, this was presented as a US magazine. This is not a US, this did not come out of a US magazine. This was a Canadian company, Consumers Distributing. They were a catalog company. Now, pre-eBay, pre-like internet distribution, they had what they call catalog magazines, where you could look through a magazine and circle the thing you want, and you could write to the company and mail out and get that game. So that was already earmarked at a higher price because of that distribution model. And also you could order these games from the magazine, and they had local stores within Canada where you could go and pick up your items. So it was just kind of like a middleman. So these are way inflated prices, okay? And I was like, what price did Earthbound actually release at? And Earthbound released on June 5th of 1995 for the grand total of $69.95. Can you imagine? I would pay that instantly for Earthbound. I would pay double that, probably. Still a good price. But $69.95, okay? Versus $90. So right there, we already have a $20 disparity. So this is like, everyone's also accounting for inflation and everything, but still, that's a $20 disparity in this historical artifact here. Now, let's talk about Earthbound here. Earthbound is our special example. Earthbound came in a larger than average box, okay? That was to hold a strategy guide that was all in color, mind you. Hundreds of pages, I think like 120 pages. I have it over there. Shall I get it? Let's get it. I think I got it still. This here. Show and tell, baby. Earthbound is one of my favorite games of all time. So when people try and like rewrite history or present misinformation about it, I get really upset because Earthbound is one of the most underdog franchises in Nintendo's catalog, in their IP hoard. Okay. I'm telling you this now. If Earthbound was $90, if Earthbound was $70 the whole time, I would have never played it. My mom would have never bought it for me because it would have been way too expensive. But I have it here. Okay. Earthbound came with the travel guide here, and this is my favorite strategy guide of all time. There is a total of 128 pages in this travel guide. Okay. Full color It's presented as an actual tour guide of the world. They included every single clay model, facts about the game. They also, the best part, and I still have this intact, these are scratch and sniff stickers right here. These little cards, you could scratch and sniff and then smell things from the world of Earthbound. And there was a contest. I know this because I entered that contest. This is my second strategy guide of Earthbound. But in my first strategy guide of Earthbound, there was a contest wherever there was a mystery smell. And you could scratch it off and send it out to Nintendo if you could guess the smell. And I wrote in garlic. And it wasn't garlic. It was mock pizza. I was so close, though. And they sent me a mock pizza air freshener, and I don't even know what happened to that air freshener. Hey, I think my mom put it up in her car. But that air freshener is like $300 now. Anyway, Earthbound came in a larger than standard box. It was printed on an actual cartridge that had a battery in it. And I'll tell you what, the market responded rather quickly to Earthbound. Let's also show another piece, another artifact here. I'm going to remove this. I'm going to remove this. Shortly after, within 5 months of Earthbound's release, this happened. Take a look at the screen right there. Take a look. This is from a Best Buy catalog right here, Best Buy print. This was like 5 months after Earthbound release. It dropped down to $29.99. Can you imagine? Oh my God. If I ever saw Earthbound for $30, if I had a time machine, I would go back to the time Earthbound was $30 and I would build an entire house out of it. I would just hoard all of them. I would have a whole room dedicated to my house. Anyway, same thing if you look there, like Donkey Kong Country 2 and Yoshi's Island. This is like 5 months after it. Also, there was the Killer Instinct set. So you could get a Super Nintendo and Killer Instinct for $92.99. Switch 2 ain't even coming with one game, let alone a tech demo. Okay? But let's go back to the original thing. I just wanted to point that out. It's so insane. That's when my mom bought it for me. She brought this big box home, and I was so enamored. I thought it was the most special thing in the world, even though it was a clearance game. It meant so much to me. It still means a lot to me. Anyway, going back, all these tourists coming in here, trying to tell me how much Earthbound was. Get out of my face. All right, so let's also describe what the marketplace was like back in 1995, okay? 1995 is when Earthbound came out. Killer Instinct came out. Also, if we want to talk Killer Instinct, I believe it released at $69.99, okay? Still kind of pricey. However, Killer Instinct came with the soundtrack, an actual CD, a compact disc in the box. It was on a specially made black cartridge. It was a complete game. And I believe it used the Super FX chip. I know it used Silicon Graphics. I know it used that. By the way, I got to put this up. I'm getting too nervous. Bye, Earthbound. Say goodbye. Say bye-bye. This is one of my most precious artifacts ever. I'm never going to let it go. I'm getting buried with the Earthbound travel guide. I'm telling you this now. All right. So I looked more into this because I feel like I'm being gaslit on every angle when it comes to people, their misrecollection of what it was actually like, the marketplace, what it was like in the analog world. I come from the analog world. I'm an old chunk of coal. I'm a fossil. So I just went from memory. These are some facts as I knew them with what I know now versus what actually happened back then. So even if you like look at these Canadian prices here, these maple dollars, monopoly money, even if you were to look at them and just like give it benefit of the doubt, okay? You're a passerby, you look at this graphic and say, oh boy, look how expensive it used to be back then, you know. Accounting for inflation, games are a lot cheaper. Well, that is true. Games are actually a lot cheaper to produce now than they were back then, only we're paying more than we should actually be paying. So let's talk about Super Nintendo games. So I've jotted down some things, why these prices were so ridiculous. Okay. First of all, higher production costs. Okay. There was no framework. There were no like prescribed engines. There was no Unreal to use or just asset packs, whatever. Okay. There was actual research and development going on at this time. They were breaking new ground. They were developing new technologies, and the system was a lot cheaper in sometime like midway through the Super Nintendo's life cycle. The system was sometimes cheaper than the actual cartridges themselves because the cartridges were specially manufactured on a case-by-case basis. The Super Nintendo cartridges especially evolved over time to include stuff like the Super FX chips in your Star Foxes. Speaking of Star Fox, I got a little graphic. Are you ready for the... This blew my mind, okay? This blew my mind. Look at Star Fox here. $54.99. Super FX chip, okay? And then you have like titles like Home Alone 2 and all this stuff like that. But you saw like a big spread of game prices, okay? You saw stuff everywhere from like $29.99 to like $64.99. All sorts of stuff. Like $7.99 for that Mad Catz controller down there. That's the little brother special. But $14.99 for a proprietary Super NES controller. Okay, we're in even accounting for inflation, we're in a whole different ball game, okay? But anyway, I thought that was interesting. I also got these too. So you got stuff like Donkey Kong's Double Trouble, Super FX chip, Silicon graphics. You got Tetris Attack, one at Panel de Pon, one of the best games ever made. You had frequent price drops, player's choice. But there were also reasons for these price drops in the market, okay? There were good reasons for the price drop. So let's go back to the facts. And we'll move this bad boy over to the side, okay? Shall we? Let's move that graphic right here. We'll move that just over here. Okay. So, Super Nintendo games, higher production costs. It wasn't... They had to manufacture plastic shells. They had to manufacture full color boxes, full color instructions, sometimes a poster. Sometimes there would be a Super FX chip. And they also had much weaker technology back then. And they had a higher upfront costs. And development was really expensive. And they didn't have, most of the time, they didn't have frameworks to build off of. They were creating groundbreaking new stuff that had never been seen before. It wasn't like Mario Kart 11. Okay. They didn't have, it took a lot more out of the development cycle, and they were still managing to, market this stuff, despite like a lot of expensive overhead. As I said, packaging, distribution, and then store cut. Back in the 90s, retail outlets were your lifeblood, okay? You needed KB Toys, Toys R Us, Kmart, Walmart, Best Buy, Circuit City, all these catalogs. They got a cut of that. They got a big piece of that pie. And you were fighting for shelf space. Nowadays, you're just fighting for shelves in Best Buy. You're fighting just to have a shelf. It was a far different set of circumstances. Very competitive back then, too. Very competitive for shelf space. Nintendo had to make the case that games were a valid form of entertainment. And also, like, they had to manufacture all these carts and ship them out and all this. So these items were far more expensive to produce, and then also they had to cut in all these retail dealers. Not in the same way now. Not in the same way now, because Nintendo handles a lot of their distribution digitally nowadays, or they manufacture and send things out on their own in Japan. They were physical only, with exceptions. And the reason I say exceptions is because there's going to be that guy. There's going to be that guy in chat that brings up the Satellaview. Okay. Yeah, there was some digital distribution. Somebody's going to bring up, oh, I had Sega Channel, actually. Okay. For those 10 guys out there in chat, it was physical distribution. So they couldn't necessarily cut costs in the same way they can cut costs now. And the best example of that is looking at what they're doing with Super Mario Kart or Mario Kart World, right? It's the $50 price point if you buy it in the bundle, the system bundle, right? Or it's the $80 if you want to buy the physical. But there's also some hidden costs in there nowadays. The hidden costs, of course, being Nintendo Online. You got to pay for that. There's going to be DLC. They're going to charge you for tracks. And I bet they're going to charge you for cosmetics. In Super Mario or Mario Kart World, they have introduced a lot of different cosmetics, either carts or things that your characters can wear. And then they're also offsetting the costs of their shitty Zoom, their shitty Nintendo Zoom, their proprietary Discord, that new chat button, and the cameras. They want to make this happen. And I don't see this new Mario Kart World video chat thing happening. So they are subsidizing the cost. They're passing the cost on to the people who want to buy the physical version. So you're paying $80 for the game. They want you to buy that camera, which is what, like $30, $40, plus Nintendo Switch Online, plus whatever season passes, right? A lot of hidden costs that aren't being discussed. Back on the chalkboard here. I mentioned that carts, the production of carts, and then also Super FX chips. And then there was also special carts, like special molds, like a Maximum Carnage got a red cart, Killer Instinct got a black cart, that sort of thing. There was also, you know, special accessory games, your Mario paints, your Yoshi Safari, that sort of thing. Also, the difference in the 90s was you got a complete game. And that goes back to my previous point. You got a complete game back then. When it went gold, it was all done. No later updates, no patching in, like this new upgrade pathway that they're doing for Kirby. And they're charging you like, what? Is it $20 for Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, the upgrade pack? And they're also doing some sneaky stuff too, like these stub carts. Some, not all, but some of the Nintendo Switch 2 carts are going to be stubs, like what they did with LA Noire on the Switch 1, where it calls out to their servers to download the rest of the game. That's too muddy, okay? So back in the 90s, your money, you got what you paid for, okay? You got what you paid for. Full color manuals, physical game that you own, that still works. By the way, my copy of Earthbound still works. The battery in it still works. Still has my save file from my childhood. I still have the magazine, the strategy guide. You're not getting any of that. I have Switch games in front of me. In fact, I have a copy of Suikoden 2. I just got this out of Japan. This is literally less than a month old, okay? It's probably a bad example because it's not a first-party Nintendo game, but you open it up, it's blank. I actually have the game in my Switch right now, but it's blank. It just comes with a cartridge and one DLC voucher, which I will not be revealing the code on there, but one DLC voucher that's basically worthless after you redeem it, okay? It's blank. It's empty. Nothing. Okay, this cost them nothing. This cost them probably, I want to say $2 to manufacture the cart and the box and everything, and that's it. I don't believe this whole new this whole new tourism, people who weren't even born when the Super Nintendo was out. I don't believe all this misinformation. Because back in the day, the Super Nintendo and the Sega Genesis and all that, while they were certainly popular and they were on the rise, they were still considered a boutique item, okay? And in being a boutique item, the price would reflect that sort of thing, okay? The prices, by the way, started coming down. And that was because in 1995, the Sony PlayStation launched, and there was also like the Sega CD, and there was also the 3DO. But the Sony PlayStation launched and started offering optical media alternatives for CD-based distribution. And that was supposed to be the deal. When optical media came out, that would in turn lower the prices of games, and it did. Although there were certain games that came with like multiple discs, and they raised the price to be comparable to Nintendo 64 and Super Nintendo. But in 95, when Earthbound came out, the market reacted. People went and played PlayStation. They played their RPGs on PlayStation, and the prices came down. Also, I want to point out there was no social media back when the Super Nintendo was out. Okay? Nowadays, Nintendo has cheaper marketing than ever before. Okay, they barely have to print any flyers. They barely have to have even a store presence in GameStop, okay? GameStop is chomping at the bit to get people to walk into their stores nowadays. Okay, they have GameStop by the balls. So GameStop will advertise all their shit for free. You walk into a GameStop right now, and they got GameStop TV playing and all these shills on there talking about, oh, look at the new Mario. No, look at the new Zelda. Can you believe this, bro? Oh, it's my childhood condensed and repackaged for me. Back in the day, Nintendo had to rely on print media. They had to rely on word of mouth. They had to actually put boots on the ground. They had to rely on trade shows like E3. Nintendo opted out of that deal. They said, no thanks. We're coming directly to you. With the advent of streaming media and with the advent of like video hosting platforms like YouTube, Nintendo can just hire an editor, compile all these trailers together, and put together their own presentation and cut out the middleman. Advertising, and they also have like a legion of bug men and bug women on YouTube that will do it for free as well. Every single person that is hyping up the Nintendo Switch 2 and is all faking enthusiasm for $450 and $80 to $90 games, they do it for free. It's a far different world, okay? It's a far different world. And I just don't buy that Mario Kart World is doing anything to earn my business. Now, as far as the Switch 2 is concerned, I only have one interest in that system at all, and that's backwards compatibility. I already have an established Switch physical game library. And Nintendo wants to take away options from you and me. And I'm going to tell you why. I don't know if you know this or not, but the Nintendo Switch 2 is launching with two different models in Japan. There's a cheaper Japanese-only model, and then there's the comparative, like $450 region-free model. What they are trying to do is lock out the competition, especially when it comes to physical games. Little gaijin like me travel over to Japan and we just get shell-shocked by the price tag. You mean to tell me, to bring a pertinent example, this is Princess Peach Showtime. Princess Peach Showtime. 3,900 yen. If I were to buy this game on the eShop in North America right now, it would cost me $60 USD. $60. I bought this physically, brand new, for 3,900 yen, which is about 25 US dollars, less than half. The thing is, not many people know about the import loophole, okay? Not many people know how cheap and how weak the yen is. So in order for Nintendo to keep things competitive and I guess strengthen their in-house business, they are going to release region-locked systems and I believe region-locked games as well. So they are shutting out options and they want to capitalize, or they want to monopolize their own market and reduce competition. And that should be unsettling to people. Thankfully, there's a veritable, robust Switch 1 library to draw from. And I don't think the Japanese are, they're not going to let those prices stay, $60 forever. Some of those prices are going to come down. And I think this might, if the market reacts in the way I think it's going to react, they're going to drop the prices. There's not going to be too many Mario Kart worlds, we'll say that. I'm pretty concerned, though, as somebody who thought the Switch itself was my main system this whole generation. More so than the PS5. I probably can count the amount of PS5 games I own on my hand. I can't with the Switch. I need all fingers and toes accounted for, probably 4 times over. I like owning my games. I don't like online, always online DRM. I don't like sneaky countermeasures. This whole game sharing thing that they're trying to introduce, like where there's the digital game acts as a cartridge and like you can only share it with one. This obfuscation of ownership can't be good for anyone. There's always strings attached. And as I mentioned before, with like Princess Peach Showtime, in America, these prices like rarely ever drop. Rarely. Now, the business model was supposed to be when there was physical game, naturally should be a little more expensive because there's more production costs involved. But the digital game remains that same price almost forever. Almost forever. Things have got to change before I have any faith in the future of Nintendo Switch. But class, I want to thank you so much for listening to my lecture. When you see graphics shared online, let's recap, shall we? When you see graphics like this circulate on the internet, take it over to TenEye. Ask yourself, why did they crop out the magazine? Why did they crop out that this came from a Canadian catalog? Why are they presenting information like this? What is their motive? What is their aim here? Nintendo copium is a real heavy drug. It's hard to kick. Okay? I love Nintendo. I'll be the first to tell you they've produced some of my favorite games of all time. But I'm not just going to give them a free pass because I recognize things from my childhood. I'm not going to get excited for paying for the privilege. The Nintendo Online Pass plus expansion pack to play GameCube games when I have the Steam Deck that can already do that, plus the games, and I can keep them forever. I can just play them forever. No strings attached. Okay? I want to spread the good word of the Steam Deck. ROMs no longer just cut it, especially when Nintendo is going around shutting down ROM sites and suing emulator devs and stuff. Like, this is... Pay attention to what they're doing, okay? They're not a good company. They've got good developers. I support developers. I support great ideas. And of course, I'm eventually going to get a Switch 2. Does that make me sound like a hypocrite? No. I will buy the Switch 2 when I feel its value is justified in my eyes. I'm not just going to sit here and paint myself in the corner and say I'll never ever get one, but I will get one when I feel they have earned my business. And I feel, speaking as a 3DS ambassador now, that the market will react in kind. The market will. It's probably not going to put it in perspective, Nintendo Switch 1, $299. That was only like 7 years ago, guys. Inflation's bad. It ain't that bad. And it's going to be very hard to get those families to shell out $500+ plus a game. I'm saying $500 because the real price of the Switch 2 includes tax, maybe a tariff later on down the road, who knows. And then, of course, the game. So you're probably looking at around $600 when all is said and done. We're entering into one of the worst financial crises of all time, mind you. Our money's worth less than it's ever been worth before. Like, it's just like there's so many other things like that just tells me this price is going to come down. So if you're feeling uncertain, if you're feeling insecure about being a Nintendo fan, that's okay. Wait it out because Nintendo will fold. They folded for the Wii U's price. They folded for the 3DS price. They're going to fold for the Switch 2. Just you wait. At the very least, they're going to start bundling a game at the $450 price. The tech demo for $10, that's a slap in the face. Anyway, lecture over. I know I got some super chats. Thank you so much, everyone. This has been a Hikiko informative history lesson about the price of Super Nintendo games. I hope you enjoyed it. I got some super chats here. So we're going to roll back in chat. I want to read them. Thank you so much. I saw them come in. We got one from Zip Davis. Dear Hikiko, please put this super chat money towards a Frosty. I've discovered a lot of great games because of you. Sending you good vibes and a big owie. Thank you.
Oh my God!
And oh my God for Mr. Zip Davis. We got a $5 super chat from Mailman TSK saying, Doug Bowser said it would be based on a multitude of factors, including development effort. So Pokemon should only cost $15 in the future, right? Yeah, good point. I think people will pay. People will pay. There are pay pigs that will pay for anything with Pokemon slapped on it, anything with Nintendo slapped on it. But I don't think the bug men and women have the same amount of disposable income as they did when the Nintendo Switch 1 launched. That is something that's being overlooked here. Rent's gone up, folks. Rent's gone up. Groceries have gone up. The dollar, the power of the dollar has gone down. And it's only going down more. So I don't know. It's hard to say. But I think if you vote with your wallet, if you just stay the course and don't buy anything at launch, just literally if you give it 5 months, make them suffer, they will buckle. We got a $5 super chat from Rumple. It's €5, excuse me. Rumple Foreskin. Thank you. The argument was always microtransactions, season passes plus loot boxes keep games $50. Now the price is going up and all that shit is still there. Absolutely. You know, for Mario Kart, they need to get people in the door first. This whole camera, okay, first of all, the hubris on display, thinking that people would want to play Mario Kart when they have City Connection. When they have City Connection right here. The hubris on display that people would be impressed by a 720p webcam at 15 frames per second so you can listen to your Discord friends shitpost and interrupt your game with other games that they're playing. They may not even be in the same game session as you. Why did they think that would impress anyone or make them want to fork out more money for that? I just don't get it. But yes, they are going to milk. And somebody in chat mentioned like somebody's just going to keep their Switch in the closet until it becomes hacked. Now you've lit the fire, I feel. You've lit the fire. And people are going to hack their systems. People are going to hack their systems. I would never do such a thing, but people are going to hack it. And don't be surprised when they do. I wouldn't. I'm afraid. These are all the games I own, by the way. What should we play? while we're chatting with each other. I was kind of feeling Kirby. I want to play that Kirby game. Do you mind if I play some Kirby? Let's play some Forgotten Lands. All right, I'm going to turn down the game audio just a little bit. We got another super chat in here from Nick Black for 10 euros. Thank you so much, Nick. Nick says, not on topic, but did you check out Deadly Premonition 2 on PC? Oh, and I love you. Well, thank you, Nick. Yes, I did. I actually streamed Deadly Premonition 2 on the Cool Stream. It should be in the Cool Stream playlist. This game, by the way, sneakily is getting a DLC chapter, an exclusive chapter for the Nintendo Switch 2, and I guarantee this shit could run on the Switch 1 for, I think, $20. And I believe they're releasing a stub cart for the full price. Nintendo just never cuts us any slack. They're never going to cut us slack. Let's get some gacha, shall we? Oh, boy. I did a lot of this in Japan. Good pulls, good pulls. We got a lot of people in chat. Thank you so much for all your... By the way, guys, if you're joining us right now, I'm going to encourage you. Whoops, I messed that up. Let's do it again. Sorry, I changed up the set a little bit. If you're just joining us for the Cool Stream or you're on the archive, I'm going to encourage you to leave that like. Thumbs are free. That's all. Let's talk some business. A little order of business on the channel. I'm going to stream every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Central Time on the Cool Stream. It's going to be a regular thing. It's a plan that I had all year, but I had to go to Japan first in order for this plan to happen. So we are going to be talking, I don't know, maybe a little bit of current events. We're going to be playing games. As the story develops, we'll have more lessons, shall we? And then, I don't know, it'll be a good chance to check in. Videos are in the pipeline right now. I wrote out a list at the beginning of the year of what I wanted to cover, so we got a lot of content ahead of us. And always, I accept requests and stuff like that, so if you hit me up on Twitter, if you hit me up on Discord, I'll be more than happy to listen. And that is that. Let's go do a mission. Let's get some Waddle Dees in our life. Isn't this a cute game? You guys remember when Nintendo used to release games? That launch lineup for the Switch 2 is okay. I think the most excited I was for anything was a new Kirby's Air Ride. I was more excited for a Kirby's Air Ride than I was for Mario Kart. Just because it felt fresh. It's been a long enough time since Kirby's Air Ride. And you know Sakurai has been chomping at the bit to do something like this. So, you know his heart's going to be in it. And it's been in development. Sakurai, he put out his little game development special up on YouTube, and I highly recommend it. If you ever want to just know what goes into game development and how Smash Brothers was created and how Kirby was created, Sakurai probably has the best YouTube channel with tons of free information. He really didn't have to do this, by the way. He has so much useful information on his little YouTube channel that you should definitely check it out. All right. I've got 32 out of 49 Waddle Dees total. So let's go over to here and see if I can unlock this. Without the time crash ability, find his blueprint. Okay, so I got to go get blueprints before I do something else. But let's We've got clear the stage, save the hidden Waddle Dees, remove 4 wanted posters, beat Twin Wildly, and a mystery one. Let's do it. All right, chat. What's it going to be? Like the stream, says Down with Fun. Thumbs up, says Nick. Digi says, anyone see the Memecraft movie? No, I haven't. I'm happy for it. I'm happy that if the kids are liking it, I like it. I'm not gonna be a hater. I know there's some kids that and adults and some childlike adults that have been waiting for that movie, and they just really don't care what kind of slop is put out as long as it has the thing they recognize on it. Okay. Let them have it. Let them have some fun. What I don't approve of, though, is the whole chicken jockey thing. I've been seeing a lot of videos going around on the internet about these kids just tearing up movie theaters every time the chicken jockey's on the screen. And when he says, I am Steve, they're just throwing all their popcorn and candy and fighting and getting insane. And I know they're not legitimately doing it. It's like an ironic meme kind of thing. But speaking as one of those popcorn cells, one of those sweep cells, one of those Jannies, speaking as a former movie theater Janny, it sucks. It's a low-paying job, and you're not paid enough to put up with that shit. I can appreciate a good meme like anyone else, but don't fuck up somebody's day to do it. I mean, yell and scream, yeah, but don't throw all your popcorn. Don't take a piss in the aisle. Don't do anything like that. I mean, can we say that's gone a little too far? No, I don't. I know a lot of video game movies are slop, and they're made on shoestring budgets for the most part. Like the Five Nights at Freddy's movie was obviously low budget trash. That I believe it was Blumhouse that put it out. When it's Blumhouse, you know it's low budget trash. But that thing turned over insane buku bucks. There's obviously a market for this kind of stuff, and movies in themselves, the theater going experience. I'm always going to defend the theater going experience. I'm happy. Kids are actually going out to the theaters and having that moment. I've watched a lot of shit in my day that's probably indefensible. I love the original Super Mario Brothers movie. I will defend it for the rest of my life. And I know it's not the greatest movie in the world, but it was mine. Okay? That was my childhood movie. So, I can't find it in my heart to hate on the kids here. I'm not going to be a hater. Let them have their day. If it gets them in the theater, that's a good thing. Let them eat that slop, says Playus. Damn right. Let them have slop. Marie Antoinette, also sub-quote Hikiko. MD Chaos says, Minecraft seems inoffensive compared to the Adi Shankar DMC series. Yeah, that's another thing. Have I shown you guys this? Let me see if I can see in the background here. I want to make sure it's in frame. If you look right here, you see where my finger is? Do you see what that is? Chat? Somebody in chat, tell me what I'm pointing at. What is it? What is this finger? I know it's kind of like out of focus. We got a little bokeh blur here on this webcam, but what is this? What are we looking at? Do you think Miles has some opinions on this thing? Yo, DMC3 Dante, that's right.
I like that jump.
That is a wall scroll, a silk wall scroll that I've kept for over 20 years, I believe. That is a 20-year-old Devil May Cry 3 Dante's Awakening original first edition wall scroll that I got when I worked at GameStop, folks. I'm sorry if you pre-ordered Devil May Cry 3 Dante's Awakening and you were expecting a wall scroll. I think I'm gonna have it. I think I'm just gonna take it home because that's exactly how that went. I saw it and I'm like, nope. I'm gonna take this home, and it's never gonna leave, and I've kept it ever since. The original Devil May Cry is in my all-time favorite games. The original. I'm one of the. I like Dante. I like Dante's Awakening for sure. But the first one is more special to me for reasons which I'll explain some other day. It's a really long story, but I love 1 and 3 a lot. And I know the Devil May Cry lore, and I know it's in the wrong hands with Adi is it Shankar? He was in that Problem with Apu documentary, wasn't he? This dude's a real gatekeeper. He thinks he's a lore master, but he's a gatekeeper. I really think he thinks very highly of himself. Like he knows what's best for Devil May Cry and the fans and thereafter. I don't know, man. I don't hate on things, just to hate on them. I just have a visceral gut reaction. Like there are signs that something's wrong. And there were many red flags when it came to the Devil May Cry anime. Number one, and most important, using Rollin' by Limp Bizkit as the theme song. Jesus Christ. Okay, once again, old Hikiko dating himself, was alive when Rollin' was on the top of the Billboard charts, and I thought it was lame back then. It was lame then, it's lame now. But considering that Devil May Cry has hundreds of bangers on all the collective soundtracks that you could have drawn from the OST, and you chose licensed music from the likes of Green Day, from the likes of Evanescence, from the likes of Limp Bizkit, Puddle of Mud maybe. I don't know. Like, what the fuck is happening here? Nu metal, I refuse to believe nu metal is making a resurgence. I just don't get it. Why not draw from... I felt the same way about, like, the Castlevania anime. Castlevania has even more lore to draw from. It has decades on Devil May Cry. Same thing with the music, same thing with the artwork, same thing with the plot lines. Adi Shankar is kind of impressive because, like, I knew guys like Adi Shankar in high school. Like, they were the fedora-tipping atheists kind of guys. And, myself, I'm not exactly super religious or whatever, but you knew those kind of like try hard, hot topic goth kind of guys. And Adi Shankar, bless his heart, is still rolling with the guy liner and the Jinko jeans and here's the thing about it too. Like, Adi Shankar likes to pose as this fedora tipping Reddit atheist. He seems like he has a big problem with organized religion, and he wants to, like, make big proclamations about immigration issues and the mistreatment of demons in the Devil May Cry anime. And, like, he always seems like he has a message to say with his anime. But this dude is like, should I even go there? Like, he was, like, first in line at the Trump rallies. Like, the message he's trying to deliver is a little bit mixed, to say the least, okay? I'm not trying to make this political, but Adi Shankar, like, doesn't seem to even be an advocate for himself, let alone anyone that he's trying to reach with his shitty facsimile of well-beloved video game franchises. So, like, I don't get it. What's he going... What did he mean by this? I don't know, man. He just seems like a fraud, a phony. He seems like a fake gamer, if I really want to go there. That's the worst indictment of them all. I bet he don't even play video games. I bet he didn't learn any Royal Guard combos on Devil May Cry 3. Let's see him try and pull one off. I don't know. Let me see Adi Shankar take on Dante Must Die mode as Sparta in DMC 1. Then I'll watch your anime. Oh, we gotta Mulberry Spark. I gotta agree with that sentiment. I gotta agree with your sentiment. Mulberry Spark says the only person that made Roland badass was the Undertaker, and that's because he was the Undertaker. That's back when the Undertaker was like coming in on the chopper. He would come in. There was like the Triton in the background. And he was like, he had the do-rag on. He'd come out on his motorbike. He goes, "Are you in my yard? Who's in my yard?" And Roland's playing. And the only reason that was cool was on an ironic level, but there was also a tinge of sincerity to The Undertaker. You knew that this boomer thought this shit was actually cool. And because he actually sincerely believed it, you loved it. And I still love it. I think you're right. The only circumstance where Rollin' by Limp Bizkit is even remotely cool is is when The Undertaker used it. No other exceptions. Also, I'm not even hating on Fred Durst, okay? Because I gotta say, Fred Durst makes Kino. Like, his movies are in the ironic, so bad they're good camp. He does make some hilarious movies, like The Fanatic. If you guys have never seen The Fanatic, it's John Travolta at his lowest. John Travolta plays a disturbed autistic man who's obsessed with an actor, and they gave John Travolta like a $10 hairpiece that Elmer's glued on his head, and he has all these amazing freakouts. I cannot hate Fred Durst on that basis because he made The Fanatic. I'm always going to love that movie. I'm going to squeeze the life out of you. Seeing one of my childhood heroes, John Travolta, the Ichiban of the bathhouse himself, debase himself to be in Fred Durst's movie. I mean, that itself is a masterpiece, but goddamn, I just don't like Adi Shankar, and I think they just need to stop giving him money, stop giving him like Netflix deals, whatever. Let him like, if you're gonna adapt anything into anime, like do something like Chaos Legion, okay? Do a fucking you know, a property that nobody gives a shit about. You know, give him a Devil May Cry clone. Give him like Bujin Guy. Don't fucking give him Devil May Cry. Don't give him Castlevania. Outlawed. Is that Outlawed DG? I hate this new Devil May Cry anime, but that new intro with Roland is totally fine. It's cool. It's not cool. It's not cool.
Oh my god!
I disagree with your sentiment. No. It doesn't. They don't even time rolling with the footage. They didn't even edit the scenes to match the music. Were you closing your eyes when you were watching the intro? Insincere is how I describe it. Yeah, you're right. You're right about that. I just don't think the guys that, and this is like, you know, a tale as old as time, but the guys they put in charge of these adaptations just are asleep at the wheel. Is that fair to say? And as I said, like, Devil May Cry has like a very easy premise to draw from. Very easy premise. And like, you could say like, you know, it's rebelling against destiny. You have sibling rivalry. You have like, you know, big bads already laid out for you. You have tons of cool weapons and characters. It doesn't have to be some edgelord fantasy. Like, I'm not against swearing by any stretch, but some of the dialogue that I've heard come out of the Devil May Cry anime, especially in regards to the character of Lady, It's not very ladylike, I must say. Not to put it, on a sexist slant there, but it's just not what I envision for the character at all. A little decorum would be in order. I didn't like it in Castlevania. I certainly don't like it in Devil May Cry. And I just think it's like millennial writing at its lowest form nowadays. And people are getting tired of that shit and calling it out, thankfully. And maybe we can actually have people in there that have been to writing school or something, or actually have real workshop. Who am I kidding? Everything's going to be written by AI in the near future. Maybe this in retrospect, and this always happens. So mind you, the future is just going to get a lot worse. So in comparison, this is the Long Con by Adi Shankar. When AI starts to write all the scripts, Adi Shankar's edgelord script writing's not going to seem so bad in the year 2035. You should have appreciated it. No, we're going to be begging for him back. Yeah, Joss Whedon AI. That's exactly what it is. Look, it's not for me. I just have a feeling that it's going to be cheaper than ever to churn out all this licensed IP slop. And companies even Nintendo back in the day, they use these shows not for these shows don't have any substance. They don't trump the source material in any regard. They're just there for cheap marketing of the IP itself. So Capcom doesn't really give a fuck how bad the Devil May Cry anime is going to be. Konami certainly didn't give a shit, two shits about how bad the Castlevania animes were. They have a vested interest in letting people like Adi Shankar that probably work for real cheap. I mean, it's probably all told a rather cheap turnaround. I mean, if you look at some of the frames, the missing frames of animation, I don't know, it just didn't seem. I'm not an anime expert, but just from my cursory glance at the Devil May Cry anime, it seemed a lot of the scenes lacked fluidity in between how the characters move. It was extremely choppy and kind of hard to watch. And certainly that gap will be filled with AI if it's not already being filled right now. But once again, production costs will go down, and then all of these IPs will be hoarded out to the lowest bidder. And the thing is, there's a lot of weird defenders. There are contrarians in every field. There's contrarians in every big divisive topic, right? There's got to be somebody who stands up and says, actually, this slop is tasty. And no, I didn't put my 70 hot sauce bottles on it. No, just the base bland taste. I want more. There's always a guy out there, and I question their motives. If they have a critical lens for these things, if they're only liking it because, it's just an easy way to attention farm. And that's a real thing. That's a kind of old school, old hat trolling mechanism. But in a way, they're selling themselves out by not demanding for higher quality. They're punching themselves in the face to make somebody else cry, It just seems counterproductive, if you want to ask me. I will not be watching the Devil May Cry anime. I will not be pirating the Devil May Cry anime. It does not appeal to me at all. I would rather watch a no commentary Let's Play of it again, or play the game myself, rather than let this travesty continue, this facade. I'm not even gonna start. My time is worth more than that. I don't have time for fucking 6 out of 10 or 5 out of 10 anime. Okay, it's hard to even get me to watch 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10 anime on a good day. Ask my friends. I have friends that recommend me anime all the time. I'm just like, and then maybe I'll get to it. You know. You're gonna sit here and try and like sell me on this slop? Get out of my face. Get out of my face.
Think you can get it inside mine?
Let's see. The DJC1. Hell yeah, good to see some love for verses. Gareth Schneider says they are entirely American produced with outsourcing done in Korea. Didn't they start like outsourcing like the Boondocks at one point? I don't know. Won't be for long. Anything made in America won't be for long. All right. Where are we going to go next? I think we're going to go over here. Save the hidden Waddle Dees. Maxim says, I don't consider it an anime. It's animated in South Korea. By that metric, we should call Family Guy anime, not Japanese. Okay, correct me if I'm wrong here, okay? I'm not... Despite being Hikikomori Media, my anime history is, like, I love older anime. I've always been a fan of the classic era. I guess even classic era is probably like everything that I grew up with, like on Adult Swim, all your Watanabe stuff. I love Cowboy Bebop, Samurai Champloo. Here we go. All this basic bitch shit he's about to. Big O. I would consider Pokemon an anime. Pokemon. But I grew up like with your Gundams, your Dragon Ball Z, that sort of stuff. I like slice of life anime. Welcome to the NHK. Big influence on the channel. Watamote. My favorite anime, of course, is Big O and Paranoia Agent. My favorite animator is dead. He's been dead for a while. I love... probably my favorite anime movie is Tokyo Godfathers. I like Ghibli, of course, but I feel... God, what was his name? I just blanked on his name. Rest in peace, though. as I'm paying respects here, it'll come to me. But Tokyo Godfathers, favorite anime movie. Of course, I love Paprika in Perfect Blue. What's his name? In chat, what's his name? Remind me. Satoshi Kon.
FK.
Thank you, MD Chaos. Respect on his name. I'm sorry, Satoshi, for forgetting you. But everything Satoshi Kon ever put out is 10 out of 10 in my book. He was a visionary without comparison. Without comparison. And I've seen most of his movies in theaters now, thankfully. They do those like Fathom events every once in a while, wherever big movie theaters do showings. And recently I finally caught Paprika in theaters, and I've seen Tokyo Godfathers a couple of times in theaters now. And Perfect Blue. I've even seen Joe Bob. He did an episode on Perfect Blue. But that's my kind of anime. I like something maybe with a darker undercurrent to it. Something that has a slice of life and a human connection, and something that deals with dreams. I like dreamlike imagery. I really do. That's just kind of that's why I like Deadly Premonition. That's like why I like surrealist stuff. And Satoshi Kon was he was that for me. He was that director for me. And I don't know. I mean, I've watched the most recent anime that I really got into. I got into two. I got into Dawn to Dawn. And I actually saw Dawn to Dawn in theaters. I saw like a 3-episode premiere of Dawn to Dawn. And I like it a lot. Out of all the modern anime, that's something I follow. I also went back and watched Higurashi. And I watched Higurashi to study for Silent Hill F, so I could have the proper context of basically Silent Hill F's plot, because it seems to be retreading the same ground as Higurashi. But a lot of my anime tastes really come from video games and visual novels. Like I'm more of a fan of reading things in anime style, like Danganronpa and Steins Gate, and more recently Emio the Smiling Man. But I like to read manga. I like to read visual novels and light novels more so than I like to watch anime, because I feel like when I read something, I get more out of it. I feel like there's more background built. There's more of a feel for the characters themselves. And in some cases, like when you're offered multiple choice, like when there's games with multiple endings, you have more of like an influence on the plot, choose your own adventure kind of thing. And I find that to be more enjoyable for me than just kind of passively watching an anime. Not to trash on anime. Okay, I'm not trashing on anime, but the experience doesn't really do it for me. You know, the same way as playing a visual novel, reading a story, and then just like having the voice in my head, you know. I do love Steins Gate. I own all the Steins Gate games, the visual novels. I watched a bit of the anime, but it wasn't like, I don't know, the same. I felt kind of the same way about the Danganronpa anime. While Steins Gate is better than the Danganronpa anime, it doesn't hold my attention as much, because the game does a great job of explaining string theory, and I feel like it's better suited for the game format, Steins Gate. If you guys don't know what Steins Gate is, it's a plot about time travel and string theory based on the old John Titor, the time traveler message board. You could say it's a hoax or conspiracy or whatever. But John Titor was this image board poster who claimed that he was traveling back in time and looking for a very particular computer to bring back. And he was answering all sorts of questions about what it was like in the future, and even posted a symbol from CERN, who happened to be behind this time-traveling escapades. And Steins Gate takes the John Titor posts from the image board and runs with it and creates like a really unique and insane kind of slice of life, kind of like murder, like government conspiracy plot. And the first Steins Gate is the best in the series. I didn't really like Steins Gate Zero, and there's also another one, I believe, in there too, but I only played the first two, I believe. But I really like the first one, but it really goes into the follies of time travel. And I do like a good time travel story. Of course, D4 is one of my all-time favorite games, so of course I love seeing how history gets messed up by the butterfly effect, we'll say. And there's very unique characters that drive the story in Steins Gate. Like, everyone has their own distinct personality. Like Okabe, and who's the fat programmer guy? And then one of the main characters is obsessed with Dr. Pepper, and there's like really neat features to Steins Gate that kind of grounds it in reality, that made me appreciate it more than your typical visual novel. I also played a bit of the Higurashi original game, and but trying to, like, guys, Higurashi, When They Cry, to even dive into Higurashi, it's like a whole research. You need to spend like a week navigating, like, okay, this is the original, this is the remake, this is the alternate timeline remake, this is the anime, this is the remake of the anime. This is a alternate spin-off. series. Like it's pretty intense to get into Higurashi, and the games are fairly long. They're broken up into like I want to say 12 pieces, and they're meaty. They're really meaty, long text, and the original Higurashi is in a very amateur anime kind of like rougher style. I was speaking with a friend about it, and I was like, yeah, it reminds me of these old hentai games. But I would say even old hentai games were better well illustrated than the first iteration of Higurashi. But Higurashi kind of like, it also deals in a little bit in string theory or alternate realities, whatever you want to say, like time loops in general. That seems to be a prevailing thread, by the way, in a lot, whatever's popular. There's time loops, alternate endings, that sort of thing. That's Higurashi. Kids doing really dark, fucked up things, and the outcomes associated with them. So it gets pretty dark. You kind of have to just... I would honestly recommend the visual novels if you're going to go for it, because like the anime moves really fast. It's the same problem I had with the Danganronpa anime. Is like when I play Danganronpa, I got so much more of a vibe of Hope's Peak Academy. Every single character felt like three-dimensional, even though they're 2D sprites in Danganronpa. But everyone was like fully fleshed out. And then you had Masafumi Takada with one of the most banger soundtracks of all time. I've never liked the theremin as an instrument until I played Danganronpa. Danganronpa 2 is like in my top all-time top visual novels, and a lot of that has to do with the soundtrack. But when I watched the Danganronpa anime, I was like, that's it? Like, they're not going to cover this, that, and the other? They're skipping straight to the trial? Like, what? There was barely any investigation going on. What the hell? The Danganronpa anime is just not great at all. There are very, very few video game or visual novel adaptations that hold up. I'm hard-pressed to think of one. I think something that kind of came close to capturing the magic, and I might be crucified for this, I really don't know, but I did enjoy the Persona 4 The Golden anime. The Persona 4 anime was really well done. But once again, I don't think it beats the game itself. Like, really, when it comes to video game adaptations, you don't have as much skin in the game. Now, if it goes and inspires you to actually sit down with the game, then that's fine. But I just don't think they're a substitute for the game themselves. Anyway, that's been my little video game anime adaptation rant there. Hope you enjoyed it. I will never talk about anime again on the stream. No, I'm just kidding. If you guys like anime talk, I'll talk more about it some other time. But it's not my forte. I'm no Kenny Lauderdale, okay? Threadweaver says, the Steins Gate anime is pretty good, in my opinion, even after reading the visual novel first. I mean, it's not as bad as the Danganronpa anime, but it's just, like, not my preferred way to consume that media, if that makes sense. I gotta say, like, for me, I'm a thinker. Remember that, you guys ever see that Wojak of The Thinker? That guy who goes for long walks and ponders things. That's who I am in real life. And video games kind of allow me to play and read and process things at my own pace. Because sometimes it takes me like, a couple of days to mull things over to get the big picture on things, okay? I don't automatically process, like, anime delivers a lot of information really at a fast pace. Like, the Danganronpa anime just zips through. You barely have time to get to know any of the characters, learn their names, or any sort of, like, traits about them. And, like, I'll explain like what it's like for me playing a Danganronpa game. So like when the Danganronpa games got released on the PlayStation Vita, every night before I would go to sleep, I would get my Vita out and I'd be laying in bed and I'd play for about 2 hours. It'd be like 2 hours of reading. I'd get up to the trial. Maybe I'd do the trial. And I'd do it. It was a nice stopping place. It was a nice story beat. And then it gave me the next day to kind of process what the fuck had happened. All the shenanigans Monokuma did and all the stakes at play. And it also gave me time to wonder, you know, what was happening, like what the grander conspiracy behind the scenes was. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed that kind of pace. With modern anime, it's kind of like a binge approach to things. It's not the same as reading. Because, like, nowadays people, when they want to know what happens in the mystery, they can just click on to the next episode and just get it fed to them, like, rapidly within 30 minutes. And you just don't have the same investment. You don't have the same skin in the game, if that makes sense. So, I'm not trying to shit on people who like the anime. You know, you can like what you like. But I feel like you're missing out in a way. You're cheating yourself out of that, I don't know, that adventure, that slow build-up, you know? Even like when it comes to video games, I don't like to feel rushed when I'm playing them. Like with Silent Hill 2, I know I put out that review in the same month as the game itself, but that's because the game itself is maybe 8 hours or so if you rush. I took my time. I took my time looking around the environment, reading every note, examining every haunting, going for every ending, just playing it slow, not trying to rush out a video, you know? Modern slap culture encourages that kind of play style. And I think in a way it cheapens the art form. It cheapens what the team set out to do and how they wanted to present their game. What was it that people used to say, like, speed running is like one of the most degenerate acts that mankind has ever come up with? I feel that way about how people consume content. Like, even when it comes to like television, I don't consider myself a binge watcher. Like, I've been watching the television show Severance, which is like a sci-fi, surreal, kind of mystery, like an oddball mystery where there's a lot of quirky things happening and odd idiosyncratic things. Okay, there's a lot of unique lexicon or unique verbiage that they included specific to the world. Everyone has a duality to them. The characters are very complex, and there's also a rich lore to Severance too, because there's somewhat of a cult aspect to Lumen, the company where everyone works, and there's leaders and just a rich amount of history to it. And I could not watch one episode after the other. I deliberately spread out the one episode a week sort of thing so I could sit and ponder what was going on with each one of the characters, maybe some of the higher level concepts and, you know, the odd things that were going on. It gave me time to process, and that's just the kind of person I am. Like, I don't want to rush for the answer. I want the answer to come to me like in a dream, you know? I want to dream about things. It's just no way to work. We have the sets. We own the sets. It's just not, there's not enough time to dream. Rest in peace, Lynch. But he was onto something there. And I always complain about tourists and stuff like that. But there are a lot of thinkers out there. There are a lot of people that just don't think for themselves, and they want the answers fed to them, and the first analysis they hear, the first theory that was crafted on a YouTube video that they subscribe to, they lock into it. Like they're rigid. They're not open to their own interpretation. They're influenced by outsiders' thoughts, and in a sense, they've kind of ruined the magic of the art. I know that sounds hypocritical coming from me, who presents analysis and thoughts and feelings on video games and stuff like that, but I generally wait a little bit so you have time to either play it for yourself or experience the medium for yourself. And I don't expect everyone to, jump into my videos immediately. I sure hope that people play the games and, arrive at their own conclusions instead of taking my word as gospel. But I feel like there's a new wave of people. There's a new breed of people. It's just a new Grok, give me the answer. AI, give me the answer. YouTuber, give me the answer. Instead of dreaming, instead of engaging with the material, and it makes me sad. And I think it bleeds into every aspect of our life and so in some form or another. You know what I mean? It's kind of a harrowing thought, but I live for conversations with people. It's very hard to find people that read nowadays. It's very hard to find people that don't rush to Wikipedia for plot summaries on things. Like, nothing depresses me more than whenever I recommend a piece of media to somebody. And I do a lot of that in my real life, not only on the channel, but when I recommend a piece of media to somebody, they rush out to Wikipedia or a specific wiki, like, Deadly Premonition Wiki or whatever, They rush out to there and they just read and spoil things on their own, and they make a value judgment right there on the spot, They look at a score, they look at what IMDb or Rotten Tomatoes is saying, and they make a value judgment on the spot rather than taking a chance on something. And I feel like it's just hurting yourself in many ways doing that, because you don't have that experience of going in blind. I live for that. Like, I try and keep myself in a relative bubble on new things. And I try not to let my influence or what other people are saying jade me in a lot of ways. As I just trashed on the Devil May Cry anime, but I was never gonna watch that shit. But I understand there's a hypocrisy at play here. But there have been several instances, and this has become more of a frequent occurrence, sadly, in my life, where I've recommended something towards somebody and I just see their eyes glaze over, and it's just like, it sounds like something I wouldn't like, or no, it sounds a little too weird for me. And I could be describing one of the most beautiful things I'd ever witnessed. And I gotta say, guys, I'm an old man. Old Hikiko. I'm a fossil. I'm an old chunk of coal at this stage of my life. I've consumed a lot of media throughout my life. And I don't recommend things lightly, okay? I'm very, in my real life, I'm very nervous to recommend things because people sometimes use that as a character indictment. Like, oh, you like this shit? What the hell's wrong with you? Why do you like this sex weirdo, borderline rapey, kind of thing? I watch a lot of David Lynch stuff, right? So I got to be kind of careful. I gotta suss somebody out to see if I recommend them something that's generally dark and deals with heavy subject matter, because I feel for me, once you get somebody into something that's a little bit outside the norm, that's where the fun discussion is had. That's wherever you can engage with the material, outside of your own head and with other people. And I like really weird things. I like things with dark messages and somewhat downtrodden depression core, if you will. Something with maybe a less than happy ending. And there's some people that just avoid that. And it's weird to me. They want nothing but happy stimulus and happy fun time jokes all the time. And I'm like, that's not really a true reflection of life itself, in my opinion. I feel it's like putting your head in a hole and not speaking to like the real trauma that comes with being alive, you know? and so sometimes I gotta consider the audience before I, recommend something like Lost Highway. Like, oh wait, they might be normal. They may not, think this is cool at all, and they might think I'm some sort of freak for enjoying this. But then again, like, I'd rather not live in a world where I can't recommend something like that. You know what I'm saying? I'd rather take the chance. One of my all-time favorite pieces of media that I'm trying to recommend to people, like nonstop, I'm like the biggest advocate for this, is a little series by the name of Mr. Robot. I feel Mr. Robot is more prescient and predictive of modern times than ever before. And if you know just a little modicum of technology, it predicted some things. It didn't get everything right, but predicted a lot of things, and it also deals with dissociative identity disorder and trauma in such a beautiful way. Like I don't cry often, folks. I consider myself like I'm very tolerant of a lot of things, but Mr. Robot is probably one of the biggest like payoffs that I've ever had in any television series, almost any piece of like visual medium. The juice was worth the squeeze. It deals with a lot of high concepts in surreal aspects, but every season almost like makes you want to like rewatch it with the new information, because it recontextualizes everything at the end of every season. The acting on display, incredible. Rami Malek, the depth to the characters that he plays, we'll say. Elliot, probably one of the best, most likable, relatable protagonists, but he's fucked up. Like, he's not perfect. He's not somebody you always root for, and he makes mistakes. He makes like some significant mistakes throughout, and I think that's, what makes for a good character. Is like they're not like Mary Sue's or whatever, or Superman. Elliot is a really fucked up character, and he tries to make up for a lot of his mistakes, and he does pull through, I will say. But watching Mr. Robot, and I did not have it spoiled for me, thank God. That is one of those things like where if you read a Wikipedia synopsis of Mr. Robot, if you had it spoiled to you on YouTube, you cannot get it back. It will not be the same for you. So if you happen to be one of the few that have never experienced Mr. Robot blind, take it from Professor Hikiko here. Do it. Just take your time with it. Spread it over a couple of months. Watch an episode a week, or maybe 2 episodes a week, and just take it all in, because it is a vibe unto itself. It's good depression core. If you want something that's a little depressing, because it gets real dark in some spots. But I think the best pieces of medium have that kind of balance. They go dark, they go hard, but that also provides like relief and triumph later on. Like the sense of reward that came from sticking through the whole thing and seeing where it ended. Like out of any show I've ever had, it has one of the most beautiful, hopeful, inspiring endings I've ever seen. I was in tears. And I watched it on a projector too. It's mandatory. If you're going to watch Mr. Robot, the finale, you got to watch it on a big screen. So if you got a friend with a projector, you got to go watch it on a big screen. Trust me on this. If this is the last time we ever talk, if these are the last words, if this is my epitaph right here, Hikiko says, watch Mr. Robot, and then when you get to the finale, find a projector, rent out a local theater, whatever you got to do, watch it there. And that's my piece on Mr. Robot. I will shill that shit till I'm blue in the face. It's one of my all-time favorite shows. Goddamn. It's up there with Twin Peaks, of course. And The Adventures of Pete and Pete and Rocco's Modern Life. You know, just an average Kinosaur's list. But I've never been so moved by a piece before, besides, of course, Twin Peaks. But Mr. Robot, I'm going to recommend it forever. It may not age well 20 years from now, but this is a really good time to watch it or rewatch it. I'm going to say that. All right, Miles. It's about time to wrap up your Reddit opinions for one stream. Guys, 2 hours is where I want to keep the cool streams. A modest 2 hours. I'm going to engage with chat. If you've got any questions, get them in right now. We've got 10 minutes left on the clock before I cut it off. Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Hikiko will be here. I'm going to be a part of your life. I'm going to be a fixture. Guys, we had... What did we peak at? We peaked at 85 viewers. That is insane.
Oh my god!
You win!
Let's see if this will work. Let's see if this will work. My other buttons aren't working.
You win!
I programmed that. If y'all are some Guitaru heads, you know what that's from. You won. You learned so. I hope you learned something today. We'll bring back the chalkboard. I hope you learned something. Don't buy into misinformation. Take it from an old head like Hikiko. Things aren't always the way they're presented on the internet, folks. Dig a little deeper. By the way, shout out to Ghost Concord, Welsh's Concord Grape. This is an amazing soda. I think I'm going to show you that Ghost Energy drink tier maker. This shit is tasty. Oh, I don't even know what this is. Threadweaver, I don't even know what kind of currency this is. You're trolling me. 100,000 IDR. I don't know what 100,000 IDR is, but I think it's probably $10. We're gonna look at the internet. What is IDR to USD? God damn it! Always pulling out these are probably Galapagos Island turtle dollars. Okay, Indonesian rupiahs. Okay, okay. According to Google, they just donated a whole $6. So congratulations.
Okay, throw me some numbers.
Thank you, Threadweaver, for the $6. You made it look bigger than it actually was. And I'm a fan of that too. All right. Guys, thank you so much for joining today's lesson. I don't know if I'll do a lesson every time, but when I see something like this in the media or on the Twitters, I want to bring it to your attention. We're going to be a mixed media kind of stream. A little bit of gaming, a little bit of ranting and lessons. We got Binkle JJ. We got a fish tank head in here. Cinna says 100K. Right. Nuker says, how have you been, bud? Any games in 2025 that look fun on your elitist as? Oh, Nuker, that's an old head in here. Shout out to Nuker. Nuker, Hotel Barcelona. I've been playing Emio the Smiling Man. Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii. Big recommendation there. Silent Hill F. Silent Hill F is going to be the big game. The big dong Hikiko game. I'm going to take some time off. And I'm going to dedicate it directly to Silent Hill F. I'm going to play it nonstop. I'm going to play it as many times as it takes to put out the best video I can. Go watch my Silent Hill 2 remake video. I'm very proud of that one. Hope I did it justice in your eyes. 4 Club says, nice to see you back, Hikiko. Hope you had a wonderful vacation. I sure did. There's a video on the subject. I try to keep it mostly about video games. I spent a whole month in Japan, Couldn't talk about everything. The video was originally like 40 minutes long, and I'm like, nobody's going to watch 40 minutes of this, so let's keep it about the games. We're the video games. So I hope you enjoyed that. Cinna says, please buy the Switch 2. Eventually I will. I told you earlier, I'm not painting myself into a corner, but let's let the market decide. I want to see what the market does before I hop into that mess. Alan Smithy, thoughts on the Steam Deck? I saw you mention it on Twitter. I also mentioned it in my latest video, you tourist. Fake fan, Alan Smithy.
Oh shit, I'm sorry.
I wouldn't say that. Alan Smithy, you're always a good supporter. I have my Steam Deck right here. Never leaves my side. I literally, when I was in Tokyo, I probably got a photo. You guys want to see a photo? We got enough time for a photo, I think. I got so many photos from this Japan trip. I stayed in Osaka. I rented a house for about a month. And I was kind of cut off from the outside world, and it was very nice. You know, I still had my phone. I could still check whatever's like going on Twitter. But I didn't really watch a lot of YouTube or anything like that. And I didn't do a lot of work. This was literally just a vacation. And I got a little R&R. And I had to recharge and not be so black-pilled. But I'm going to show you my setup. Let's see if I got a good photo of my setup here. From the correct angle. Here we go. Oh shit, guys. Exclusive content. All the real ones who stuck to the end of the stream, this is exclusive content. Alright?
Oh my god!
We're going to drag and drop it in OBS. In the original resolution. Here we go. Here we go. Guys, I'm going to show you my setup. Okay. All right, let's get it on the board. Let's get it on the big board here. All right, let me explain. So when I was in Japan, I didn't bring a laptop. I just brought my phone. But I'm a PC guy. I like to, check in and, pay my bills. I like to Photoshop. I like to do other things. So when I was in Japan, I had a house for about a month. And, watching shit on your phone all the time is kind of sad. And the guy who owned the home did not have a TV in the home. There wasn't a TV because you have to pay a TV license, mate. You have to pay a TV license, a little kick up to the NHK if you have a TV in your home or listed on your Airbnb or rental. So this was a rental. And so I kind of felt sad, like, when I was doing dishes or laundry or whatever, I wanted some background noise. So what I bought was, I went to a thrift store. I bought my ass a little Japanese keyboard. I had an optical mouse. I packed one with me. And over here in the background, if you look in the top part of the photo there, that's a little Bluetooth speaker that I bought from a thrift store for $5. So this was my pro gamer setup in my place in Japan. I bought a keyboard. So all total, I spent like $10, and I already had the dock itself. And so that was my little home away from home workstation. Was my Steam Deck. This is what Gabe had in mind for the Steam Deck. This is me using it at the full potential. And if you look over on the right, that little pill bottle there, those are turmeric tablets. I take turmeric every day for my joints. I got gamer wrists, and it's good for inflammation. I have very sensitive skin, and I'm not a doctor. This is not medical advice, but turmeric's like really helped my skin look as youthful or whatever. And there's a lot of sugar in American food, so it helps better process that. It helps when I go work out. It helps my joints not, be all brittle and stuff like that. But in Japan, turmeric is mostly sold as a hangover cure too. So I had to buy that. So everyone probably thinks I'm a drunk. And then Got a Switch over there in the background, of course. And probably some candy, but yeah, that was exclusive content. Hope it was worth it. This is why I gotta stick around to the end of the stream, folks. You get little exclusive pics never before seen behind the scenes. Alright, let's read a little bit of chat, and I gotta go. We're literally at the 2-hour mark. We're over. We're late. Let's see. This is where Hikiko edits and streams from, actually. Dude, if I could consolidate everything to my Steam Deck, if I could literally edit on my Steam Deck and use it as my workstation, I would. Maybe eventually we'll get there when Proton gets a little better. If I could move away from Windows the moment I could and get my whole workflow going, I'm gonna do it. I've been relearning Linux for the Steam Deck itself, from using the Steam Deck, and I learned quite a bit. I also, you can see me legally streaming YouTube videos on there. You guys want to see another Steam Deck photo? One in chat if you want to see another Steam Deck photo.
Okay, throw me some numbers.
One in chat if you want to see another Steam Deck photo. 2 in chat if we're all done. I'm fine with either one. But I got to dig out this photo. I'm going to show you the most funny one. I'm going to show you the most funny one if you hit 1 in chat. So I'll give you some time while I'm looking for this photo. Oh my god. This is the most funny one. This is from my house in Japan. You're going to see a photo from my bedroom where I laid my little head. Alright, I've got hundreds of photos, guys, so give me a minute here. A wall of ones! A wall of ones!
I like that jump!
Thanks, guys. Yeah, let me pull it up. If I can't find it now, I'll definitely post it to Twitter, but I want to make sure I get it. Here it is! I got it! You guys ready? Oh my god. Literally nobody in the world has ever done this. I am the first person in the world, the Ichiban Steam Deck owner, okay, who's ever done this. Literally only person in the world. There you go. As in Japanese tradition, when you want to watch a movie in bed and you're in a tatami room, I brought my Steam Deck upstairs, up these were narrow stairs. I brought it up there and I set it up in the tatami room and I watched What's Eating Gilbert Grape starring Johnny Depp and Leonardo DiCaprio on YouTube for free. With my aircon blaring and my futon out and my buckwheat pillows, and I fucking sat down and it's resting on that Bluetooth speaker. Literally no one in the world, living or dead, has watched What's Eating Gilbert Grape in a tatami room on a Steam Deck resting on a Bluetooth speaker. We did it. Breaking new ground. All right, I am out of here. Thank you so much. This has been a banger stream. You can watch this. It's not only on the Cool Stream playlist, but it's live on the channel. Thank you so much for all the super chats and the massive support. 80 viewers at the peak. That's big numbers for this guy. Love you all. And I'll see you on Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Central. Bye. Sayonara.